nur als imposant.
Welcome back to WION World is One. You're watching Top Stories with me, Vidur Kathuria. Let's get started. A new study published in the Lancet journal claims more than 3 million years of human life have been lost in Gaza since Israel launched its war on the besieged territory in October 2023. US President Donald Trump says Pakistan and North Korea are testing nuclear weapons. In a freewheeling interview to CBS News, he also claims that Russia and China are testing nuclear weapons as well, while defending his move to resume trials. The IDF starts recalling some 700 Chinese cars given to top defense officials, warning of security concerns. Earlier this year, the IDF banned all Chinese cars from entering military bases over fears that their sensors and cameras could be used to collect sensitive information. The death toll in Afghanistan earthquake rises to at least 20 after a 6.3 magnitude earthquake hits the city of Mazar-e-Sharif. The historic Blue Mosque at the Holy Shrine is damaged. The world's oldest former Olympic champion, track cyclist Charles Coster, has died aged 101. He won the gold medal at the 1948 London Olympics and was a torchbearer at the 2024 Paris Games.
Le bar va être ouvert, hein, donc bon.
Et ensuite,
Et là,
US President Donald Trump has doubled down on his decision to restart nuclear testing, suggesting that despite enough weapons with the US to blow up dozens of countries, Russia and China's nuke ambitions are a reason to resume tests. Trump accused Russia and China, as well as Pakistan and North Korea, of having conducted underground nuclear tests unknown to the public, and said the US will follow suit. Confusion has surrounded Trump's order that the US begin testing, particularly if he meant conducting the country's first nuclear explosion since 1992. US Energy Secretary has, however, cleared that the nuclear weapons testing ordered by Trump will not involve nuclear explosions this time. Wright, in an interview to Fox News, said that the tests being talked about right now are system tests. He said the testing involves all the other parts of a nuclear weapon to make sure they are functioning and can set up a nuclear blast. The Energy Secretary further said the tests will be carried out on new system to help ensure replacement nuclear weapons are better than the previous ones. Just before his meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping in South Korea, Trump said he ordered the US military to immediately restart the process for testing nuclear weapons after a halt of 33 years, a move that appeared to be a message to rival nuclear powers China and Russia. He reaffirmed his commitments on Friday, but did not answer directly when asked whether that would include underground nuclear tests that were common during the Cold War. South Korean President Lee Jae-myung hosted Xi Jinping at the APEC summit on Saturday, and what stood out was a marked light-hearted banter and warmth, in direct contrast with the terse transactional meet between President Xi and US President Donald Trump. South Korean President Lee welcomed Xi at a grand opening ceremony, complete with soldiers wearing traditional garb. Lee also told Xi that he was looking to meet him for a long time. Xi in turn described China and South Korea as important neighbors that cannot be separated. Xi and Lee also shared a cordial moment when both leaders exchanged gifts. In a light-hearted exchange seen in a video released by South Korea's presidential office, Xi can be seen joking about the Xiaomi phones that he gifted to the South Korean leader. When Lee asked about the communication security on the phones, Xi replied that you can check if there's a backdoor. Listen in.
지금曲面是韩国的产品
디스플레이는 한국 제품입니다.
샤오미
这是给您和夫人
통신 보안은 잘 됩니까?
这个通信保安怎么样啊？
非常好
你看看有没有后门。
뒷문 있는 점 확인해 보십시오.
The Xi-Lee meeting also highlighted how China and South Korea were moving towards a more comprehensive partnership that included a $49 billion currency swap agreement and several MOUs on trade. Chinese leaders' reply on backdoor was not just a joke, but a political statement, a sly one on Trump. It is an accusation that US and its allies often level against the Chinese establishment. A long-term Chinese cybersecurity strategy involving both state-sponsored private companies focusing on espionage, intelligence gathering, and economic advantage. The phone that she gifted to Lee was Xiaomi 15 Ultra, a new product by the Chinese smartphone giant, which is said to be equipped with Samsung display components. The company released the models in Korea in March this year. Contrast this to the Trump-Xi meeting earlier. Trump flew to South Korea for the summit to seal a trade war pause with Xi. Xi appeared more stiff while meeting Trump. Trump had complimented Xi as being a very tough negotiator, although Xi Jinping's reaction was that of pure dismissal. Xi had said it was common for the two leading economies of the world to have frictions every now and then.
Mr. President, do you plan to sign a trade deal today?
Could be.
The Minister of Interior of the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan, Sirajuddin Haqqani, has warned Pakistan of a crushing response if Afghanistan's patience was tested again. In a veiled threat, Haqqani said that some countries, in order to preserve their interests, violate the territory of other countries. He said that if the patience and endurance of Afghans was tested again, the response will be very crushing. Haqqani didn't mince his words and added that though Afghanistan does not possess long-range missiles or heavy weapons, it has a strong resolve and determination in the battle against aggression. He also said that defending Afghan territory is among their priorities. Moreover, Haqqani said that though the path of understanding was open, it was not difficult for Afghanistan to fight back, as it had long experience of tackling the emperors of the world. In other part of his remarks, the Afghan Interior Minister stated that in recent meetings with Pakistan in Qatar and Turkey, they were told that their internal problems should not be linked to Afghanistan. Haqqani, without naming Pakistan, said that some countries would violate the territory of other countries just to preserve their interests. Haqqani ended his remarks saying that though Afghanistan was in favor of good relations with the world, Afghans had the legitimate right to defend their territorial integrity. The remarks by Haqqani come at a time when relations between Kabul and Islamabad have soured and negotiations between the two countries have not yet produced results. The Israeli military is reportedly recalling hundreds of Chinese-made cars previously assigned to senior officers, following renewed security concerns over potential data risks. According to reports in Israeli media, the IDF has begun withdrawing about 700 vehicles, mostly the Chery Tiggo 8 Pro model, which has been given since 2022 to lieutenant colonels and colonels with large families. Earlier this year, the military banned all Chinese cars from entering bases after defense officials warned that built-in sensors, cameras and connectivity systems could be exploited to collect sensitive information. The IDF has declined to comment on the latest reports. Security experts say Chinese technology is emerging as a growing strategic challenge in Israel, even on the road. Modern Chinese-made vehicles often include cameras, microphones, GPS and internet-linked systems. While these features enhance convenience, officials warn they could also enable unauthorized tracking and data transmission. Similar concerns have surfaced in other Western countries where authorities are weighing restrictions on Chinese vehicles and technologies in sensitive environments. In previous guidance, the IDF instructed personnel who owned Chinese-made cars to park them outside restricted zones. Defense sources now say additional measures are under consideration, though no full enforcement plan has been announced. Beyond the security implications, the move also raises economic questions. Chinese cars, particularly electric models, have gained popularity in Israel for their affordability and range. Tensions have flared outside Serbia's parliament as hundreds of protesters rallied in support of Diana Hrka, a mother whose child was killed in a railway station roof collapse in Novi Sad last year. Hrka began a hunger strike sitting on a chair near the metal fence that blocks access to the street, leading to the parliament building. Police prevented her from approaching the area occupied by pro-government supporters, who have maintained a presence there since March. As crowds grew, protesters hurled flares towards the tent area, prompting riot police to intervene. Unrest spread through nearby streets, with officers forming cordons to separate rival groups while demonstrators shouted at the police. Months of protests across Serbia, fueled by frustration over the lack of accountability for the Novi Sad tragedy, have tested President Alexander Vucic's firm grip on power and sparked calls for early elections. Protesters accused the government of corruption and negligence during the renovation of the Novi Sad station, saying safety rules were ignored, and that led to the deadly collapse of the concrete canopy. Authorities have responded with a crackdown, detaining hundreds and dispersing demonstrations. Pro-government media and officials have branded university students taking part in the protests as terrorists, accusing them of stirring violence. Hrka calls for a full investigation into the collapse and for President Vucic himself to be questioned over the tragedy. There is devastation in Jamaica, where days after record-breaking Hurricane Melissa tore through the island, the toll continues to rise. The storm, the most powerful to hit Jamaica in nearly a century, left western communities in ruins and much of the country in darkness. Across western Jamaica, from Westmoreland to St. Elizabeth, entire towns lie in shambles. Hurricane Melissa roared ashore last Tuesday as a Category 5 monster, packing winds of 185 miles per hour, flattening homes, uprooting trees, and cutting power to hundreds of thousands. Prime Minister Andrew Holness on the weekend confirmed that at least 28 people are now dead and warned that more casualties are likely as communication lines are restored. Many communities remain isolated, with roads blocked and phone networks down. In the coastal town of White House, corrugated metal roofs ripped away, power poles snapped in half, and homes crushed under fallen trees. Hospitals and schools are among the buildings badly damaged or destroyed. The storm carved a deadly path across the Caribbean, killing at least 31 people in Haiti, including 10 children who drowned in flooding, and inflicting heavy damage on Cuba and the Dominican Republic. The human cost is staggering, but so too is the economic one. The United Nations estimates that Hurricane Melissa's impact on Jamaica could amount to the country's entire annual GDP. That is nearly $20 billion. Emergency response teams from the United States, the World Health Organization, and other international partners are now on the ground, working to restore power, deliver food, and provide medical care. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres is calling for urgent global assistance, saying massive resources are needed to rebuild communities and lives. The UN has released $4 million in emergency fund to support humanitarian operations in Jamaica. The country faces a long and painful recovery, with large parts of the island still cut off and thousands homeless. Officials say it could take months just to restore basic services and years to rebuild what Hurricane Melissa destroyed. In a bullish sign for India's economy, the government says tax collections under the Goods and Services Tax or GST remain strong despite significant cut to rates. In this next report, we dive into the details. Take a look. India managed to eke out a small rise in its GST collection last month despite significant cuts to the tax rates. October marked the slowest pace of revenue growth compared to an average growth rate of 9%. Still, according to the latest figures, the centre expects only a marginal shortfall. On September 22nd, the government implemented sweeping structural reforms to the GST regime. Rates on nearly 99% of taxed items were cut. The multi-layer tax structure was simplified from 4 slabs to 2. The current GST tax slabs are 5% and 18%, plus a special 40% for select items. Despite the tax cuts, the government collected 1.96 lakh crore rupees in GST for October, marking a jump of 4.6% from a year ago. That robustness gives the Finance Ministry confidence that any shortfall from the 2026 budget GST revenues will be manageable and modest. The strength in collections is being driven by healthy domestic consumption. For example, two-wheeler sales in October surged. Motorcycles saw a 16% jump, while scooters showed a 7% increase. Passenger vehicle volumes hit a record in October, jumping over 17% from a year ago. Festivals like Dussehra, Dhanteras, Diwali and Chhath Puja boosted the demand further last month. Timing played a part too. The GST reforms were launched just before the festive season, helping boost consumption, which in turn supported tax revenue. Collections typically spiked during festival months. Still, the momentum is encouraging, and government finances are expected to be fine. According to economists at ICRA, the overall fiscal deficit target of 4.4% of GDP for next year remains achievable. New compliance measures also kicked in from November 1st. That includes stricter verification for GST registrations and physical checks for high-risk cases. The measures are aimed at plugging revenue leakages and fake billing. However, a note of caution. Officials and analysts say once the festive season passes, collections might soften. The true trend will become clearer post-December when numbers settle. Prateek Jain, partner at Pricewaterhouse, said, despite massive rate cuts effective from September 22, A slight increase in domestic GST collection is encouraging and shows that demand is steadily increasing. Consistent increase in GST refunds shows confidence of tax administration that GST collections would show positive trend in the future as well. Next month's data would have the full impact of GST cuts and would be keenly awaited. Everyone will keep a close eye on how this plays out to see if the government's decision to encourage demand is a boom or bust. Business Bureau, WION, World is One. As November begins, the national capital and much of northern India are experiencing two sides of the same weather story. A dry spell that's worsening pollution levels in Delhi, while snow and rain are on the way for the hill states. The dry and still conditions over Delhi have allowed air pollution levels to remain dangerously high. According to data from the Central Pollution Control Board, the city's average air quality index stood at 324 today, placing it firmly in the very poor category, while there was a slight improvement from the weekend's severe range. Experts say the reprieve is temporary. Light winds are failing to disperse pollutants and emissions from vehicles. Construction dust and farm stubble burning in neighboring states continue to add to the smog blanketing the city. Thick haze was visible through the morning hours, with visibility dropping in several parts of the capital, including Anand Vihar, RK Puram and ITO. The IMD warns that with no rainfall forecast in Delhi this week, the air is unlikely to clear soon. Meanwhile, the political blame game over the city's pollution has intensified, with Delhi and Punjab authorities exchanging accusations over stubble burning and emissions control. The IMD has forecast dry weather across Delhi and the NCR today, with clear skies and calm winds expected to continue for the next 24 hours. However, the same weather pattern is bringing cold and wet conditions to northern India's hill states, where a fresh western disturbance is set to cause snowfall in Uttarakhand and Himachal Pradesh. In Punjab and Haryana, scattered showers are likely, while the plains of Rajasthan and Uttar Pradesh will begin to feel a distinct winter chill as temperatures dip over the next few days. Meteorologists say the changing wind pattern and approaching cold wave could lead to fog formation later this week, particularly across the Gangetic Plains. So, while the northern hills brace for snow and rain, the capital continues to choke under stagnant, polluted air. Relief from both the haze and the dry spell is still some days away. Sometimes destiny writes its own script, and Shefali Verma is living proof. Left out of the World Cup initial squad, she got her chance at the last minute and turned it into a performance that redefined her career. The 21-year-old top scored in the World Cup final and picked crucial wickets to help India lift their maiden World Cup title. She may have been left out of the World Cup squad, but you don't drop players like Shefali Verma, a player built to dominate, to destroy bowling attacks with pure power. The youngest ever to debut for India in T20s at just 15 years old. Shefali has always brought that X factor, the unpredictability, the fearlessness that can change matches in minutes. When selectors chose Pratika Rawal over her, Shefali was heartbroken. Missing a home World Cup is never easy, especially for someone who lives for big moments. But instead of letting disappointment define her, she used it as fuel. She dominated domestic cricket for Haryana, averaging over 75 at a strike rate above 150 in the 2024-25 season. And when destiny opened the door, an injury to Pratika Rawal, Shefali grabbed the opportunity with both hands. Back in the side for the semi-final, and then a match-winning 87 of 78 balls in the final. Her part-time bowling turned out to be a masterstroke. She rolled her arm over and picked up 2 wickets. She had the rub of the green in Navi Mumbai, but more than that, she had the courage to rise again. It's the reward for resilience, grit and unbreakable belief. Left out and written off, Shefali Verma now stands tall as India's biggest game changer. And now let's get you the latest updates from the world of entertainment. Japanese rock legend Yoshiki was officially inducted into the Asian Hall of Fame at a star-studded ceremony in Los Angeles. The co-founder of the rock band X-Japan, known for his prolific work as a musician, composer and producer, was honored for his decades-long career and significant cultural impact. At the event, Yoshiki said, and I quote, "I feel very grateful and honored. I've been trying to pursue my dream for a long time. But then people started to recognize my effort," unquote. Lee Soo-man, the founder of SM Entertainment and a visionary widely credited as the architect of K-pop's global expansion, was honored with a high-profile induction at the Asian Hall of Fame ceremony in Los Angeles. Often referred to as the king of K-pop, he was praised him for turning K-pop into a global language. Supermodel and reality star Kendall Jenner is celebrating her 30th birthday today. One of the world's highest paid models, Jenner is expected to celebrate the milestone with family and friends following a recent headline-making appearance at a Halloween party where her costume sparked significant debate on social media. The Kardashian star continues to balance a high-fashion runway career with her entrepreneurial ventures. Time now for a quick break. But up next, everything latest on the ongoing hostage prisoner exchange under the US brokered ceasefire agreement for Gaza. Don't go anywhere, stay tuned.
WION Health Resort is unique, the only one of its kind. Experience the 4 paths of natural wellness: yoga, Ayurveda, acupuncture, and naturopathy. Each uniquely customized program improves the whole person to make every person whole. Come to WION Health Resort. Make your reservation at wion.com.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. To some, it's an extreme ideology. To others, it's the very soul of India. To some, it's rebellion. To others, it's a principle of nation building. Coming soon to challenge perceptions in RSS Centenary Year, Kesariya at 100.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide, because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION, World is One.
Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. To some, it's an extreme ideology. To others, It's the very soul of India. To some, it's rebellion. To others, it's a principle of nation building. Coming soon to challenge perceptions in RSS centenary year, Kesariya at 100.
Welcome back to WION World is One. You're watching Top Stories with me, Vidur Kathuria. Let's get started.